Dear participants, very good afternoon to all of you. We are starting, we will be starting for the session 2 of day 3. And the session is mainly focused on the latest developments in the field of electric mobility. Uh, and The speaker for this session is Mr. Ashrar Ahmed. He is Head International Strategic Alliance and Export Partnership eTrio. And let me formally extend a warm welcome to Mr. Ashrar Ahmed, who has taken out the time and accepted our invitation to be the speaker for this session. Let me begin with that. Throughout these 2 days sessions, whatever have been covered, we could understand it that for the smart city, the e-vehicles, this is going to be one of the primary what are the challenges, what are the available technologies, and what is the market at present, what is the market scenario of electric mobility at present. So before I hand over this session to Mr. Ashrar, let me just give a brief introduction of him. So all the participants maybe gaining a lot from his talk today. Whatever queries you maybe have, that you can put up on the chat box. I will request all of you to whatever queries you have, please type in the chat box, and at the end we can share it with Ashrar, Mr. Ashrar, and he can take the queries one by one. So a brief about Mr. Ashrar Ahmed. He's an experienced team leader with a demonstrated history of working in EV development and EDU tech industry. He is skilled in techno management and product development. He has strong technology professional focus on mechatronics, robotics, and automation approach. He has co-founded Bharati Mobi, an EV startup offering EV conversion kits and services. He has been the Formula student team alumni as a part of design and development of utility electric vehicles. He holds research experience in the renewable energy and e-mobility sector. He is an EV expert and guest speaker for a wide number of engineering research institutions, including NITs and IITs. He has represented India in EV sector for various international conferences and conclaves across the globe. He is mentoring renewable and mobility solution startups. He is technical inspector for technology events, and he's a consultant for EDU tech startups and skill development platforms. So with this, I will, on behalf of School of Engineering and Technology and Sharda University, I extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Ashrar Ahmed. And he has already started his presentation. I think that all of us are going to get benefited out of this. And this is like a topic which as engineers, as electrical engineers or mechanical engineers, I think that this is going to be a new dimension in the technology of these two fields. So we are going to start with the speaker. Over to you, Mr. Ashrar.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for your kind words, and I hope everyone is doing well and safe. So, yeah, as said, today's topic about electric mobility, the key point in the development of our country. As we see various initiatives as well as schemes that are present in today's time by Government of India to push electric vehicles in our country. So, if we want to be e-mobility nation in coming time, then we must be skilled enough in order to bridge the gap that our institutes are facing in today's time with respect to academia and industry collaboration. So about the progress review, as everyone is knowing that today we have lot of engineering institutes as well as we have lot of engineers, but if we analyze the thing, what we are lacking is unemployment is not an issue. Unemployment is not an issue. Unemployability is the problem. Unemployability is the biggest problem. And we need to skill ourselves. We need to skill up ourselves and adopt the skills that are very essential for upcoming technology and upcoming industry. So EV industry is something which is very, attractive as well as very eco-friendly, and that can give us a promising results for development as well as economic development of our country. So heading to the topic, so in today's session, we are going to see about what is the present automotive sector and how transportation industry can be electrified using electric vehicles. Then what are the challenges are present in mobility sector and how Indian government and Indian organizations are pushing electric vehicle initiatives through various electric bicycles, electric two-wheelers, electric three-wheelers, and creating an ecosystem for electric vehicles. So that thing we'll see, and we'll analyze what is global electric vehicle market, as well as what is perspective of our Indian electric vehicle market, and what is the supply chain for our EV industry, and various different business propositions, how an individual can contribute in different business propositions as well as EV proposition. So we will conclude with this EV business proposition point. So as a outcome, I hope everyone will understand the perspective of electric vehicles as well as the electric vehicle market scenario, and how an EV can be beneficial in terms of economic balances as well as other environmental benefits that we can acquire or extract from electric vehicles. So yeah, so I will tell you from my end. So we are doing retrofitting as a part of eTrio. I have co-founded another startup called Bharat Mobi, where also we are doing the retrofitting. So why we came up with this idea of retrofitting is there are three major issues, or there are three major crises that every nation is facing now. The first one is traffic congestion, right? Every city like Delhi, or you can say about Mumbai, or Chennai, Mumbai, these cities like the Pune, Mumbai, and Chennai, there is heavy, as well as Bangalore. And sorry, I skipped Bangalore. So Bangalore's where there is heavy traffic congestion, right? So what is the solution to cater this traffic congestion? The another issue is air pollution. Since already in India, according to 2016 statistic data, India is a home to more than 230 million vehicles on road. According to 2016 data, I am talking. So today's time, there are the series of vehicles on Indian road creating air pollution. And the third thing is, according to our NGT report, the vehicles with 10 years or 15 years of age will be scrapped. And with that data availability, there will be around 20 million vehicles that has to be scrapped by the end of year 2020. So there are three major issues that we are facing: traffic congestion, air pollution, and scrapping. So we wanted to create a single solution for this three major issues. That's how we ended up with this solution of retrofitting. So electric vehicles are definitely the way forward, and retrofitting can be the need of the hour. That's how the electric vehicles, if the petrol diesel vehicles, if they can be converted into electric vehicles, the fraction of these cars or these vehicles can be converted into electric, and air pollution can be reduced and scrapping of vehicle can be reduced. That's how we ended up with this retrofitting concept. So to begin with the electric vehicle thing, so in today's time, if we analyze what is the position of our Indian automotive sector, first of all, we have to go through what is the present scenario and how that can be electrified using different segments of EVs, whether it is a two-wheeler, a micro mobility product like electric bicycle or electric bike, or electric rickshaw or electric car. We'll see different case studies as well as different scenarios for these vehicles. So yeah, so our Indian automobile industry is fourth largest in if we consider for throughout the world, right? The position of our Indian automotive industry, it is fourth, and we are having annual turnover of $100 billion, right? Through this industry of automotive, we are employing 32 million people across our nation, right? And in terms of two-wheeler is our major product that we are exporting, as well as we are utilizing it in-house in our India, right? So apart from electric bikes, or apart from bikes or cars, we are a fruitful manufacturer of tractors also, and we are manufacturing heavy duty vehicles also. And this automotive industry contributes a major part of our GDP, a major part of our GDP, and it is giving a significant revenue to the government. It is giving a significant revenue to the government. That's why automotive sector, or that will be converted after electrifying into e-mobility sector, will be very, very beneficial for economic development of our country. So coming to transportation industry, so basically how we utilize transportation is either we transport people, either we transport animals or goods. These are the three major things for what we use transportation industry. Let's suppose if in today's time we might have seen using railways, whatever sanitization material, whatever COVID related products are there, they have been transported using our railway network, right? Using our railway network. And yeah, coming to elements that are required for a fruitful or a solid transportation system is infrastructure. The first thing that is essential for any transportation system is infrastructure. The second thing is the presence of vehicles that are going to run in the transportation system. The third thing is a complete operation of these vehicles with the proper regulations and policies. So infrastructure, vehicles, operation, and policies, these are the four major elements that has to be present for any solid or any fruitful transportation industry or transportation system. And as I said, we are using the transportation system for passenger usage purpose, or any medical services like ambulances, or different mobile services that are being offered in telemedicine as well as medicine industry. Then for freight services. So yeah, current modes of transportation are airways, railways, roadways that are majorly used. And apart from that, there are different what I can say, different modes that we are some of you might be familiar, or some of you might not be familiar with cable, pipeline, and spaceways. So pipeline and cable are also very essential for freight services and all. So these are major 7 modes of transportation. So slowly, these different modes of transportation are getting electrified. Nowadays we are having metros and electric railways in our country. We are having a good number of services for railways that are utilizing electric motors for running railways, right? So now our railway sector is slowly, gradually getting electrified. Similarly, roadway mode of transportation is also getting electrified. So we have seen electric bicycle in our country. We are having hybrid cars in our country. We are having electric cars in our country. We are having electric bikes. You might have heard name of Ather, Revolt, and all. So different startups, different companies are coming up with their product of electric bike, electric bicycle, and all. So similarly, like railways, roadways sector is also getting electrified. So how this electrification will be creating an impact? So as I said, this electric vehicle sector is having very good impact on environment, as it is not producing any harmful or pollution containing elements. So it is this impact of electric vehicle industry or impact of transportation industry after getting electrified will be very good for environment. And as now we are planning to set up infrastructures like charging stations, battery swapping stations, then what we can say, electric vehicle garages, then electric vehicle washing centers, and different elements. So now we can do a proper planning. how to set up, where to set up, and what to set up for electric vehicle industry. So it is a plus point for us, like to create a planned infrastructure or ecosystem for an EV industry, right? That will be utilized for our transportation industry, right? And as I said, electric vehicle industry, or we can say automotive industry, is contributing a significant amount of GDP in our country. So it will be having a positive impact on economy, planning, as well as environment. So that is why everyone is focusing, every nation, every country is focusing on electrifying their transportation industry or electrifying their automotive industry. So coming to different automotive elements, whether it is a bike or car or heavy duty vehicles and all. So they are majorly classified based on their use. For what purpose we are using those vehicles, or for what purpose we are using that mobility element. So in mobility, we are having different products, micro mobility product like bicycle, right? Then we are having bikes, then we are having three-wheeler rickshaws for passengers, then we have rickshaws for goods carrying purpose, right? Then we have electric cars, we are having four-wheeler cars, we are having then LCVs, right? And we are having heavy duty vehicles. So depending on use, for what purpose, like am I going to use it for my personal use, or am I going to use it for a particular application? Say like I'm going to use it for going to school or college, or going to like cycle is a product. Let's consider an example how to justify the usage. So cycle is a good example. So this cycle can be used, different people from different walks of life can use this product cycle into different terms. So let's suppose a person is there who is going for distributing the newspaper in the morning. We can utilize this thing for a particular business use, right? Then comes use of going to school or college, right? Then comes use of inter-campus mobility or in-campus mobility. Sorry, in-campus mobility, like a campus like Sharda University having electric bicycle or bicycles that can be used inside the campus, right? So depending on use, there are different segments for what particular application these automobile elements or automobile products are used, right? Swiggy Zomato people are using bikes or electric bikes nowadays in order to push Go Green initiative. So that's how the usage comes. Then comes the capacity on what capacity it is having. It is for one passenger, two passenger, three passenger, or for load carrying and all. Then comes who is the manufacturer and what is the model, right? Maruti has planned of rolling out electric WagonR. You might be aware about it. So Maruti is planning to roll out electric WagonR. So there will be different manufacturers and their models for products. So this is how they are classified. Then depending on fuel used, either they are battery electric vehicle, or they are petrol based vehicle, or diesel based vehicle, or fuel cell vehicle, like that. Depending on what fuel we are putting in or we are filling in, the vehicles or automobile products or automobile vehicles are classified. Then the body style, right? The hatchback is there, right? Sedan is there. Depending on the body configuration, there are different classification of automobiles. Then two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, six-wheeler. So based on wheels also they are being classified. And definitely front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, or electric drive or engine-based drive system. So depending on the drive system also they are being classified. Now the transmission system, like what is the transmission system they are using in order to transmit the power from engine to drive shaft or motor to the drive shaft. So why I'm telling the different classification of automobiles is, now based on this classification, one can comment or one can analyze where they can put motor factor in order to electrify a particular automobile, right? So based on usage, we can start electrifying our automotive sector, or based on capacity we can start electrifying automotive sector, or based on the fuel use, like initially only petrol was being used, then hybrid model came into existence. Like that, gradual increment in hybridization or gradual increment in electrification can be done, right? So based on wheels, like first we can electrify two-wheelers, then three-wheelers, then four-wheelers. Similarly, we can select a proper approach, a technological approach for electrifying these automotive, products or automobile vehicles, right? Now coming to challenges that we are having in today's mobility sector, right? Everyone knows this fact very well that we are heavily dependent on petrol or diesel, right? Majorly on Iran, we have been doing transaction with Iran in order to get whatever fuel requirements we are having. Then other Arab countries are there and all. Now there is a critical need that we need to understand. There is a critical need that we need to understand. The need is other countries, those who are having, those who are surviving on petrol or diesel selling model, they are also now trying to shift to electric vehicles, and they are trying to transfer or change their economic model. You might have seen now Saudi Arabia also started, getting into modernization through women's driving or initiation of theaters and all. So like that, they are also shifting their economical model from only transacting or doing the transaction into petrol diesel to tourism industry or something like that. So that's how we need to analyze and see and accept that we are heavily dependent on other countries for what? For petrol or diesel. So we need to eliminate this dependency. So how we can eliminate this dependency is we can shift our mobility sector into an electric vehicle mobility sector, where what we can do is we can generate electricity that is required. Through different mediums like solar based energy. Generation can be, we can talk. Yes, as usual, we are having coal based energy generation mechanism. We can utilize that, and apart from that, other renewable sources we can use for generating the power, for generating the electricity. That's how we can reduce the dependency of our nation on other countries for fossil fuels and all. Definitely we need to plan, we need to strategize the things accordingly, and do proper planning in order to do these things, in order to generate the required amount of electricity and shift our mode of transportation from conventional to an electric mode. So let's have a glance. How is e-mobility in India? Government is supporting e-mobility startups. You might have seen various startups are coming in EV ecosystem that are cheered and pushed by government, right? Through different subsidies, through different schemes, through different what we can say, economical model, right? So that's how e-mobility is growing in India. Another thing, Blueprint is ready for creating 10 million e-mobility jobs. That's how the role of Imperial Society or in role of Sharda University like Sharda will come in order to push skill development in sector of electric vehicle. So government has already created a specialized workforce plan to support e-mobility mission, National Electric Mobility Mission Plan, as well as FAME, and generate new jobs, right? And as we are aware that we have a separate department in our government called Niti Aayog, that is pushing e-mobility, like with a very what you can say, very strong vision. Niti Aayog is pushing e-mobility plan to make our nation to sell only electric vehicles by year 2030. Then if we see the budget of last year 2019, electric two-wheelers manufacturing was majorly emphasized. So through that we can understand e-mobility is gaining a good traction. In our country. So coming to what are the plans, what will be the future of e-mobility in India? In order to analyze that, we'll have a look at National Electric Mobility Mission Plan. It is called NEMMP 2020. It is National Electric Mobility Mission Plan that emphasize on adoption of electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles. It emphasizes on adoption of electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles in order to save the fossil fuel and in order to reduce the pollution, and indirectly to create job opportunities and career building opportunities for the youth. So that is National Electric Mobility Mission Plan. In order to achieve this plan, the government has released a roadmap in terms of FAME. So this FAME is for faster adoption of manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles. Faster adoption of manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles. FAME India is a scheme in order to encourage the adoption of electric and hybrid vehicles, providing incentives. Right? And the major push is for two-wheelers and four-wheelers and electric buses. As two-wheelers, four-wheelers like cars and electric buses, they contribute a major part of our ecosystem of automotive or transportation industry. So electrifying two-wheelers, cars and buses will be a major boom or boost to combat the climate change issue. So the first phase of this FAME was launched in 2019, right? And first, like it started with April 1st, 2015 and got ended up on 31st March 2019. And the second phase got started on April 1st, 2019, and it will last till March 31st, 2022 to, what we can say, to access the adoption of two-wheelers, two-wheelers, rickshaws and four-wheelers and hybrid vehicles also, by providing incentives for batteries and subsidies for buying these vehicles. Apart from that, if we see how electric vehicles will get a significant role in EV in industry in India, is we are having industry associations. Called Society of Manufacturers of Electric Vehicle in India, SMEV. We are having Leadership in Energy and Environment Design, right? LEED. Then we have Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, SIAM. So these organizations, these societies are pushing electric vehicles as a part to boost the economy, right? So yeah, coming to how electric vehicles evolved. So we need to understand electric vehicle is not a new concept that came into 2010 or 2005. Electric vehicles were developed and electric vehicles were part of design, development, research and all from year 1835. You can see here on screen, early days in 1835, the first electric carriage was built, and this carriage was being tested using the primary energy storage system. Then in 1965, the concept of hybrid technology came, right, by Toyota. Then serially, like consequently, the different companies, different platforms came forward in order to come up with different mobility solutions in terms of electric vehicles or hybrid vehicles. Then we can see because of oil crisis that led to electric vehicle models and all in 1977. Then comes Toyota's EV in Japan, right, in 1992. Then hybrid vehicles came as a part of beginning of hybrid vehicle era of Toyota in 1995. Then in 1996, 1997, different generations of Prius of Toyota's hybrid vehicles came in Japan and other countries like US and all. Then from after year 2000, we can see the significant growth of fuel cell vehicle. We can see the significant growth of hybrid vehicles from 2002 to till now. What we are having in 2020, we are having number of startups, number of companies working on different mobility products, electric vehicle products. We'll have a glance at these companies and startups also. So yeah, coming to the difference between electric and gasoline, we can see there are no greenhouse gases or pollution. during the operation of electric vehicle. But we need to accept this fact that currently, as we need electricity for charging electric vehicles, and we are getting that electricity from our coal-based power plants, so we are burning coal. So that's how we are contributing, or we are giving rise to some part of pollution, right? So yeah, but operation wise, there is zero emission in electric vehicle. There is no emission in electric vehicle, but for producing electricity, as of now, we are having somewhat emissions or somewhat pollution that we can eliminate by shifting, or by changing the energy generation mechanism to renewable energy generation mechanism, right? But comparing to a conventional vehicle, a petrol or diesel vehicle, there will be huge pollution during the operation of the vehicle. Then for electric vehicles, we need electricity and we can depend on utility companies. But for gasoline vehicle, we need petrol or diesel, where we need to depend on offshore companies, we need to depend on other countries, right? Yeah. And the another thing that we need to evolve, that we need to step up, that we need to transform is the range. Currently, we are having range anxiety. Our electric vehicle can go up to 200 kilometer, 300 kilometer in single charge as of now with current technology. But we have to overcome this range anxiety thing. Whereas in petrol diesel vehicle, we are having, as we fill the petrol in 5 minutes or in few seconds, we can increase the range, or we can just run it for a long duration. So range anxiety is the problem in electric vehicle. We have to overcome that. Then comparing to the economic model. So economic model is, see, in India, majorly people will not consider electric vehicle because of climate. Very few people will be there, those who are really, what we can say, concern about the climate, concern about how to contribute to green India or go green and all. Majorly people will be saying what is the economics, how much have to spend, how much they have to spend on electric vehicle and how much they have to spend on petrol or diesel vehicle. So we'll do a quick calculation in upcoming slides. So as of now, just remember, when we are spending 2 cent per mile in electric vehicle, when we are spending 2 cent per mile in electric vehicle, we have to spend 12 cent per mile for petrol or diesel vehicle, right? And in electric vehicle, there will be components will be very quick and simple. There will be a battery, motor, controller. These are the three major components for our EV: battery, motor, controller. So let's just have a look at different architectures for vehicles. So here we can see this is a gasoline vehicle. This is a gasoline vehicle where we are having fuel filler and fuel tank. So we are filling the petrol or diesel in the fuel tank, right? And this fuel tank will supply the fuel to engine through the fuel pump and what fuel line system you are able to see on the screen. Then engine will be producing its power and torque that will be transmitted to the transmission system, and there will be an electronic control module for the engine and fuel injection system for the engine. And yeah, and a small 12-volt battery is used for starting purpose in gasoline vehicle. 12-volt lead acid battery is majorly used. This lead acid battery is a 12-volt battery having 6 cells, each of 2 volt, giving rise to a 12 voltage system. So that this is about a gasoline vehicle. Let's come to hybrid vehicle. Here in hybrid vehicle, you can see along with having a fuel filler and fuel tank, we are having a traction battery and a motor. We are having a traction battery and motor, also an electric generator, in order to what we can say, acquire the energy which is required during recovery of regenerative braking or something like that. So here we are having, apart from engine and fuel tank, we are having battery and motor also, definitely along with the power electronic controller that is required in order to control the motor. So that is about hybrid vehicle. But remember, here there is no facility for charging the battery. Here there is no facility for charging the battery. The battery has to be charged through regenerative braking or what fuel we are filling in. So we have to convert that fuel power to charging the battery. So this is about hybrid vehicle. Just coming to the next part is in plug-in hybrid vehicle. In plug-in hybrid vehicle, along with you can see the battery motor controller and fuel system and tank, we have onboard charger facility for charging the battery, traction battery, that is driving electric motor. So that is how the transformation is coming from a gasoline vehicle to hybrid vehicle to plug-in hybrid vehicle. And where we are using electric vehicle, we are eliminating the fuel and the fuel tank and engine part. Now in electric vehicle, there are three major components that are battery, motor, controller. And rest of the things we need for like thermal system for cooling, DC-DC converter. As the battery might be of let's suppose 96 voltage or 60 voltage, we have to convert that voltage system into 12 volt or for our dashboard and all. So we need a DC-DC converter for that purpose. Then auxiliary battery definitely for for what for horn and for our windows, power windows and all, right? Then this is for transmission, transmission for transmitting the power from shaft of the motor to the drive shaft, or onboard charger is for charging, traction battery is for energy storage. So this traction battery might be a lithium ion or a lead acid. Majorly electric vehicles are using lithium ion since it is having battery management system, and it is very what we can say safe in terms of utilizing it for an electric vehicle purpose. So now coming to fuel cell, try to understand the difference, how we are gradually transforming from gasoline vehicle. We incorporated in gasoline vehicle a motor battery controller system along with generator in order to recover the energy. So then we added a charging facility also in plug-in hybrid vehicle, then a complete electric vehicle where there is no engine or fuel. Then coming to fuel cell vehicle is nothing but a hybrid vehicle. To be very honest, fuel cell vehicle is nothing but a series hybrid vehicle where we are using apart from in terms of energy storage system, we are using fuel cell, right? Fuel cell stack, as well as hydrogen as a filling element for energy. So yeah, so just have a look at how is the architecture for this fuel cell vehicle, right? Rest of the things, power electronic controller, auxiliary battery, thermal system, DC-DC converter are similar to electric vehicle. As I said, the power electronic controller is nothing but a controller that is used to control our motor. This power electronic controller is having power electronic devices inside it, like IGBTs, thyristor and all. Then thermal system is for cooling purpose of the battery and the powertrain unit, right? Fuel cell stack is where chemical reaction is taking place with entry of the hydrogen or fuel from the fuel tank, right? Now, electrification approach, how we are going to electrify our vehicle. So try to understand, as I told, there are three major components in our electric vehicle. Battery, motor, controller. I'm talking about a battery electric vehicle, a complete electric vehicle where there is no engine or there is no fuel tank. So here, this traction battery can be lead acid battery or a lithium ion battery or a nickel cadmium battery or a metal oxide battery. Nowadays, you might have seen our sodium ion battery also came. I think 10 days back, some news came about some products of sodium ion batteries. So this can be a different chemistries can be used for this energy storage system or a traction battery pack, right? This traction battery pack will be connected to the motor through controller. This controller will be a power electronic device having various elements of power electronics like IGBTs, thyristor and all, in order to control motor for its direction control, speed control, torque control, or other functionalities as we require. Then this is potentiometer box, is nothing but your throttle. It can be a potentiometer box or it can be a Hall effect based device which is controlling the speed, right? then we are using this fuel and contactor for safety purpose, and auxiliary battery, a 12-volt battery along with fuse and key switch is for switching on or off, or controlling the whole system. Then inertia switch and emergency switches are for killing the system whenever it is required in any emergency. So this is a basic electric vehicle system layout. Now we are having two options. Either we can utilize this system in new vehicle, or what we can do is we can convert existing vehicle into an electric vehicle. So there are two approaches for electrification. We can go for a new EV, or we can retrofit the existing petrol diesel vehicle into an EV. So based on the capacity, the range requirement, the available resources, either we can, and as well as the economic thing, either we can go for retrofitting or we can go for a new EV. Let's take an example of electric bike. If I am retrofitting electric bike, if it is costing me 25-30,000, and new electric bike is coming, electric bike or electric scooty is coming at a price of 40-50,000, then people will move for getting a new electric vehicle, right? So based on the capacity, based on resources, based on economic model, we have to go for a perfect electrification approach, either of a new EV or a retrofitting. So retrofitting is permitted in India, but we have to take certification from ARAI and ICAT. Those are the governing bodies for automotive sector, and it will be valid with the proper documentation and the things. So coming to global EV market, so globally the EV market has been divided in terms of the geography. So European market is there, then Asia Pacific market is there, then Latin America and Middle East and Africa, Lamia wala, then North America. So these are the major four, what we can say, the geographies where EV market is significant, or EV market we can divide in terms of a global EV market scenario, right? So the division of global EV market can be depending on either it is a battery electric vehicle, or a hybrid electric vehicle, or a plug-in hybrid vehicle. Are you able to understand? So this division of global EV market can be depending on whether it is a pure battery electric vehicle, or a hybrid electric vehicle, or a plug-in hybrid vehicle. So it can be a car, or LCV, or a truck, or something, but depending on its type, battery electric vehicle, or hybrid electric vehicle, or a plug-in hybrid vehicle. So this can be divided, and you can see the graph. So in 2017, you can see from 2017 to 2025, in coming time, there will be a huge rise for hybrid electric vehicle. There will be huge rise for all the types of vehicle, definitely, but you can see a good acceptance of market for hybrid vehicles, hybrid electric vehicles, right? Then coming to the next division or next segmentation is depending on vehicle type, two-wheeler, passenger cars, or commercial vehicle, right? We can divide the global EV market in terms of two-wheeler, or a passenger car, or a commercial vehicle. We can see there will be a huge rise in passenger cars by year 2025. Now, what are the factors that are pushing electric vehicles? So as we see, the countries are now feeling they are not having enough resources of petrol or diesel. They are not having enough resources for petrol or diesel. They have to depend on other countries heavily, and they have to spend a lot of money in order to do the transaction of these resources of petrol or diesel, right? So similarly, seeing the different government rules and regulations with respect to climate change, how government is adopting different approaches in order to reduce the pollution, seeing at those norms and regulation, shifting or adopting to electric vehicles is high impact factor, right? Then definitely electric vehicles, they have they are very beneficial in terms of operational economics. They are very beneficial in terms of operational economics. So that's how we can see the factors that are driving the global EV market. In India, In India, if we see last year's data, we are having a significant number of vehicles in each state. If we see Maharashtra, like states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and all, even in Uttar Pradesh, we are having a significant number of electric vehicle sales. And the major electric vehicles were electric two-wheelers that got adopted or that got accepted by the Indian market. So you can see the different segmentation of based on state how EV market scenario is. And coming to the data till August 2019, right? We have saved this much amount of liters of petrol or fuel, and we have reduced the CO2 emissions up to this level 130819. So like that, we are gradually doing well in terms of adoption of EVs into different sectors. And yeah, these are the top states in EV sales: Maharashtra, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Delhi, and Tamil Nadu, in terms of having a significant number of electric vehicles onto their road, right? Now, what are the key driving factors for EVs? So as I said, there are stringent emission norms. Are there, like the vehicle should not emit more CO2, the level of pollutants created or formed by running the vehicle. So there are limits for that. So government has set up complete regulations for what should be the emission norms and all. So because of that, people are forced to shift to EVs, right? Another thing is we require fuel economy. Now fuel prices are going high, so that's another factor that is pushing us to look at electric vehicles. Then another thing is we require a good power and torque. In our vehicles that can be obtained, right, using a particular motor of good quality and good productivity, right? And as I told, noise, vibration, and harshness. These norms and these requirements have been changed from 2001 till now in coming time of 2020. So we need improved noise, vibration, and harshness in our vehicles. So that is how we are seeing electric vehicles might be a promising element in getting improved noise and VH, right? Now another thing is, as I told you, we have to look at the economic factor. Electric vehicles are very, very beneficial in operational economics. So we'll have a look at different companies, what are they, how they are contributing in electric vehicle industry in India, what products they are making, and how one person can understand their products, then prospective and mobility scenario. So yeah, just a second. So the first product we are seeing is electric bicycle. So in electric bicycle, there are n number of players in India, those who are designing, manufacturing this electric bicycle. So what they do, so they use a frame of aluminum or might be steel, depending on the cost of the vehicle, right? They integrate motor battery controller. Are you able to see the motor here? Hub motor here, the battery, and right, the controller can be incorporated either here or somewhere at a particular place. So this of electric bicycle. So now in India we are having Electron Cycles, Holical is there, Ampere Vehicle, Electrotherm, Sparrow, Hero Electric, Pure EV. These are the major manufacturers of electric bicycles. And they are rolling out their product of electric bicycle in Indian scenario, right? The next thing what we are going to look at is what motor capacity they are using for electric bicycle. They are using either a 250 watt motor or a 350 watt motor. Majorly, they have to limit the speed up to 225 km per hour. So they are going for a 250 watt motor of let's say 36 volt, right? Same time battery of lithium ion, 36 volt battery, right? That can be portable, and that it is portable and it can be removed, detachable, and it can be charged using our 16 ampere socket at home. So coming to electric motorcycles and scooters, so there are series of companies in India. You need to understand there are series of companies in India, those who are manufacturing electric motorcycles and scooters. Those who are manufacturing electric motorcycles and scooters. So yeah, seeing at Earth Energy is there, Ampere Vehicles is there, Loya Autos. You might it's North Indian based companies you might be aware about. So Loya Autos is there. Then Mflux Motor, Ultraviolet from Bangalore. Then yeah, OK Play Electric is there. Revolt is there. Torque Motors, Mflux. Then yeah, PSA Motors is there. So these are the vehicles. These are the companies that are manufacturing, that are producing electric motorcycles and scooter. For electric motorcycles and scooter, they are using a 1 kilowatt or 1.5 kilowatt motor, and battery of required capacity, what range they want. Like let's suppose if they want a range of 60 kilometer, 100 kilometer, based on that they are increasing the age of the battery, right? Then in India we have electric cars. In India we have electric cars from Mahindra, Hyundai, and MG and Tata. So these are pure electric cars where there is a motor, controller, and a battery. Then there are hybrid cars by Toyota, Suzuki, and Mahindra. These hybrid cars, they are having motor, battery, controller, as well as the major functioning or primary functioning unit as engine and fuel, right? So we have hybrid electric cars in India. Then we have electric rickshaws in India, and these are the top manufacturers for electric rickshaws in India. Atul Auto is there, OK Play is there, then Volta Motors is there, Mahindra Electric, Ampere Vehicles, GAM Motor Works from South India. Like that, electric rickshaws are there on Indian roads. So why I am presenting these things is, the agenda is you must know what is the EV industry scenario, who are the players, what are their products, and you can go to their website, go to the link of a particular product. Let's suppose electric rickshaw by OK Play Electric. You can go to the specification, see what motor they are using, what controller they are using, what specification they are giving. So how you can benefit from it? If you are a student, you can take up a project of similar specification or similar dimension. If you are a research scholar, you can incorporate a similar technology of let's suppose using a different motor, a multi-phase motor or a different motor. Or else if you are a startup, then you can definitely learn from these products that are available in market, how they are serving the nation, right? Then in India we have pickup trucks also. You can see pickup trucks are there from Mahindra, and I'm talking about electric pickup trucks. So Mahindra, Tata, Ashok Leyland, they are having their mini electric pickup trucks, right? And coming to electric boat, in India, we are having solar electric boat also. I don't know how many of you are aware about the things. In India, we have solar electric boats also. The first Indian solar electric boat is Aditya. You can go and Google about Aditya and learn more about Aditya, how it is made, what is the configuration, and how it is functioning and all. So the idea is India can be an electric mobility nation. Only if we are having a complete EV ecosystem. What I mean by EV ecosystem is, there must be a power generation companies, right? There must be smart grid systems or smart grid companies. Then there must be infrastructure for charging, home charging as well as commercial charging. Then there must be EV leasing companies, EV financing companies. Then there must be EV garages and EV service providing companies. And majorly, there must be EV skill development platforms. So through these things, our nation can become EV nation with having a complete EV ecosystem. So why I'm forcing on these things is, see, we need to understand and grasp the things accordingly, right? Let me give you an example. See, we need to think out of the box, right? Or else I can say, we need to think there is no box. We need to think there is no box and think accordingly. During our college time, or during our school time, we have been taught till a particular concept, but we never had what is next thing after that concept. Let me give you an example. How many of you are aware about a quantity? Let's take an example. Everyone is aware about a quantity called distance, right? Everyone is aware about a quantity called distance. So if I take derivative of distance, if I take the derivative of distance in time domain, I will be getting a quantity called speed or velocity, right? So speed or velocity, if I take the derivative of speed or velocity in time domain, I will be getting a quantity called acceleration, right? So acceleration, if I take the derivative of acceleration in time domain, what is the quantity, right? So there is a quantity called jerk. That plays an important role. Jerk. Shubham Agarwal responded jerk. Yeah. So yes, Shubham. So there is a quantity called jerk that is, very, very essential. So it is very, very essential in terms of vehicle dynamics. The quantity called jerk is very essential in terms of vehicle dynamics. So we need to understand and learn and grasp the things if we want to step up and do a fruitful contribution to our engineering discipline, right? Another thing I will specify, what is it? It is about a soap called Lifebuoy, right? We are aware about a soap called Lifebuoy, right? So this name of the soap Lifebuoy, right? Why they have chosen the name Lifebuoy is it is related to our physics and engineering. Let me explain you. So this Lifebuoy, if you analyze the spelling of boy in Lifebuoy, no, it is from concept of buoyancy. It is from the concept of buoyancy. That is our physics concept. We हमने पढ़ा था, the Archimedes principle, the upthrust, buoyancy, and all. So the concept is Lifebuoy gives buoyancy to your life. Zindagi ko udhal, right? So that's how the concept came. So we need to understand these things that are very, very common and very, very essential in our day-to-day life. What motor we are using in our ceiling fan, right? These things are very, very essential. We need to understand these things very, very well. And definitely we require a complete ecosystem from skill development to power generation to charging stations to EV leasing companies, EV financing companies, and all together, right? So yeah, moving to the next thing. So yes, on to something, Suman, right? Yeah. So there are different business propositions where an individual can contribute. Few of these business propositions are available now, and few has to be adopted in coming time in India, right? So we need servicing garages for EVs. We need charging station for EVs. We need painting workshops for EVs. We need charging management stations, like charging station management. What is charging station management? Let's suppose if someone has installed a charging station, then there will be a workforce requirement for troubleshooting those charging stations. So there will be a requirement for charging station management companies or charging station management platforms. Yeah.
Ashar, can we take few of the queries?
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Like I would like you to take up few of the queries which have been given by these participants. Number one is how individual can start an e-mobility startup.
Okay. So starting a startup is very, very simple. Nowadays, everyone knows the different dots the government of India has led, right? The different dot the government of India has led from Skill India to Startup India to MSME programs. So right away, these are the different business propositions that I'm talking about, right? So if you want to start any startup in EV segment, you have to select a particular proposition. Let's support what what problem of the society, or what problem, business problem, or what problem you are going to identify and address. uh, right? If electric engineer, like electrical engineer, let's suppose from Sharda University, he has completed his electrical engineering from Sharda University, and now he is having an idea of starting electric vehicle startup. Then there will be different propositions where he can get it. So he can start electric vehicle manufacturing company, or let's suppose EV rental service company, or EV kits company, like providing online kits for electric vehicles, or a EV skill development, or different business propositions are there. So depending on what pain point of the society he's going to address, he can form what organization or what entity he is planning to form. And definitely the procedure to register and start the startup or company is very, very simple. I can send you the details via an email. So what are the steps for getting it registered through Startup India or MSME, or company? But the major thing is,
Really appreciate that. If you can send it, so I can forward it to the participants who are actually who are
definitely.
attending today.
Yeah, but before starting, before getting it registered with MSME or Startup India, you have to select a business proposition. And fortunately, we are talking about the different business propositions for EV industry on the ongoing slide. So yeah, so you have
And
to.
okay, the other one is, can we have onboard conventional energy sources to EVs so that we can have continuous charging of the vehicle even while on journey? If this
Right.
is possible, then range can be extended.
Exactly, as I told, range anxiety is the biggest issue in EV sector. Range anxiety, because मान लीजिए, if I started from Pune and going to Mumbai, right, 200 300 kilometer, again I need to see a charging point and I need to charge. That's the pain point we feel. इसलिए range anxiety is a problem, and it can be sorted out using different energy storage systems, right? If I'm not wrong, you might have gone through the different energy storage system. Morning session tha.
There is one more, is every battery module will be having a separate BMS. Then what is difference between BMS and controller of the circuit?
Right. So the controller is a power electronic device. BMS is, for safely managing the safe operation region of your battery. So this controller is for motor operation. So we are having this controller for operating the motor, for forward, reverse, controlling the speed, controlling the torque, controlling power, limiting the torque, limiting power, those things. For controller is for that purpose. Now BMS is for dedicatedly for our battery or energy storage system, where we are having a CAN system and different sensors and different elements which are made, or which are there to control the safe operation of the battery during charging, discharging, balancing, and even for the communication. Like if we are having telematics in our electric vehicles, telematics feature, then you can see the BMS data can be seen at your desktop screen.
Okay, there is one more. What is the reason that in spite of having so much advancement in electrical technology, and with some giants like Tesla, Motors and MG, most of the patents in this field belong to German manufacturers, and they do not let this technology to get available at low cost at the disposal of the common man?
See, in terms of advancement, if I'm not wrong, those mechanical engineers in India who want to pursue their career, वो लोग सोचते हैं कि मैं जर्मनी जाऊंगा, correct?
Yes, true. Brain drain is there. It is there.
Inclination is because the major manufacturers are there, the major R&D platforms are there, right? So that's how the mentality of the development is. जहाँ पे young bright minds रहेंगे, they will develop some patents, they will do R&D, and see, these are the regulations of their own mindset, or their own what we can say a school of thought or something, whether to let the patent go to other country or not. Like it's of their school of thought thing. Again, how we can do the things is, there are different companies. There are different companies outside Germany also, those who are doing very, very well. Even in, if you see the European Union countries, there are different companies who have come up with their own different models for EVs. और फॉर्चुनेटली एक बात बताऊंगा मैं आपको, इन लंदन यू कैन सी आवर हीरो बाइसाइकिल्स। मैं देख के बता रहा हूँ आपको, पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस। सो यू कैन सी आवर इलेक्ट्रिक बाइसाइकिल, जो अपना हीरो का प्रोडक्ट है वहाँ पे है। हीरो हैज पार्टनर्ड विद few companies, other companies, and they have rolled out their Hero electric bicycle wala product in UK also for campus mobility, for personal use and all. So bicycle can be of different usage, personal use, cargo use and all. So depending on that, they have adopted.
Okay, thank you. You can continue, and at the end we will take the other questions which may be.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
So yeah, we are having a look at EV business propositions. So looking at this thing, so before starting any startup or company or anything, you have to select a particular proposition, what you are going to address and what you are going to serve, right? So in India, if we want to become an e-mobility nation, then we must have these business propositions, these elements present in our EV ecosystem of India. Then only we can thrive. Then only we can benefit from what resources we are having. Believe me, we are having a very, very good, talented people here, and we need, the stepping up from university. There are young talents serving in university in different college teams. Those who are participating in, the Formula student events and all in Germany and other countries. There are different technical teams. Those who are making projects of electric bike or electric or hybrid car, Formula student car and all. That knowledge, those skills and those things has to be stepped up in a form of any startup or any R&D or something to a greater level in order to come up with different EV propositions. So in India, we require servicing garages for EVs, we require charging stations, we require a dedicated painting and spraying workshop for EVs, we require electrical workshop for EVs, home charging setup services, we require charging station training. Those will be giving only training for setting up the charging stations, right? Then EV rental can be a good business opportunity where you are having 100 EVs, 100 cars, and you are giving that for rental to cab services or cab for employee transportation system or for airport cab service, something like that. Then spare part manufacturing. Then EV requires various spare parts, right? आपको पता होगा, अगर Maruti is making XYZ profit through their cars, then there are companies those who are making spare parts like mirror, right, dashboard and all. They are also making ABC amount of money out of it. So definitely there will be spare part manufacturing will give a good boost to our economy with coming up propositions for various spare parts for EVs. Then EV manufacturing new electric bicycle or bike or car or LCV. These companies will thrive, right? We need these companies. Then EV retrofitting companies we need, those who are retrofitting existing petrol diesel cars and all with support from government, right? Definitely we require support from government. Then spare parts selling, so companies can come forward to sell the spare parts that are required for electric vehicle industry. Then they can formulate these parts and make a kit, and they can sell those kits like for bike, for bicycle, for car and all. Then battery shops must be there, providing or selling the different battery chemistries, lead acid, lithium ion, nickel, cadmium and all. Then electric car washing. हम लोग ऐसे तो car washing नहीं कर सकते जिस तरह normal we are doing for our conventional car. We cannot take EV and go to the washing center and wash it, right? We require a different mechanism for washing electric cars. Then these companies will thrive. Then battery swapping technology, swapping companies will come, right? Then battery leasing companies, those will only lease the battery, right? Then EV repair services, mobile repair services, where you just have to book a slot in your app. The mobile electric vehicle will come. They will be having their setup and all. They will repair your car wherever you want. Then franchising and reselling of products of EVs. Then portable charging system. Then solar charging system installation and all. Then online e-commerce for different EV products and EVs, right? Then battery scrapping, how to scrap a battery. Like you might have aware about Kabadiwala and all. So there are different online platforms where you need to book the slot, right? They will come, they will pick up the whatever scrap you are having at your home, and they will pay you. There are companies and platforms like this. So similarly for battery scrapping, the companies and startups or propositions has to come in India in coming time. Those will do the battery scrapping, right? Then last mile connectivity, like last mile delivery, like Amazon, Flipkart, these companies are there. They need last mile delivery of their products, right? So last mile delivery can be electrified, and EVs can be used for last mile delivery, right? Then we need finance companies for EVs. We need insurance companies for EVs, right? Then we need EV skill development, definitely, that Sharda is doing now, right? EV skill development into the youth, to skill up them with whatever propositions, whatever concepts, whatever things are required. So yeah, you have to select a particular proposition, and these propositions what I have listed are very essential to form a EV ecosystem that is essential for making our nation an e-mobility nation, right? Then coming to supply chain for our EVs, so see, there will be a raw material, for whether for a battery or a frame, right? So there will be a series of what we can say, series of steps, right, that it is going from raw material, from the mining to the manufacturing of the cell, to a complete assembly of the cells into a pack, then the manufacturing of the car or manufacturing of bike or whatever vehicle is there, then selling through a dealership or selling through the channel network, then providing the EV service through charging and other things, then completely recycling. So the whole the supply chain is going through a different steps. And currently, believe me, we are heavily dependent on China for our supply chain for EVs. We are taking these cells. Just a second. Yeah, this is the power bank. Like as a part of R&D, we made it, right? So these cells, these are the lithium-ion cell. Single cell volt is 3.7 volt, right? And see, these cells we are now taking from China and assembling it in India and utilizing it in our vehicles, right? So we have to eliminate these dependencies also. By knowing, or what you can say, by exploring, analyzing what is the current supply chain for EVs in India, and how we can make it more better and more efficient, right? So yeah, this is about the supply chain. Let me show you a comparison. Where you can easily understand. Yeah. So how an EV is beneficial? In comparison with a conventional vehicle. Let me take a conventional vehicle. So here we have taken an example. Of two vehicles, Ultima and Leaf. So Ultima is a conventional vehicle, and Leaf is an electric vehicle. We are running these two vehicles. We want to run these two vehicles for 100 miles. Right? We are planning to run these two vehicles for 100 miles of travel. So for 100 miles of travel, so what is the fuel use in in miles per gallon is 27 for Ultima. And right, are you able to understand? So what we are doing is we are trying to get the mileage, right? We are figuring out the mileage, and we are multiplying how much fuel is required for that particular 100 miles of travel, and we are multiplying that thing with the national rate, average rate for per gallon of fuel price, and we want to calculate what will be the operational cost. Right? So for Ultima, the operational cost will be $14.25. For Leaf, since we have a 3.3 kilowatt of charger, 3.3 kilowatt power charger, and it requires 7.27 hours to charge it. And the price of 1 kilowatt hour, that means 1 unit, is 11 cent there. uh, and doing this calculation, we can end up at $2.64 for leaf. So you can see we are saving, approximately $12. We are saving $12 as an operational cost for our vehicle, right? So the agenda is operational cost of EV is very, very convenient. Let me take an example, right? Let's suppose, take an example of Wagoner. Okay, take an example of Wagoner. So Wagoner mileage is around 18 kilometers per liter of petrol, right? So this 18 kilometer is the mileage, and if I want to run it for 100 kilometer, how much petrol or diesel I would be requiring is around 5.5 liter of petrol, something would be required, and price for 1 liter is, let's suppose, 70. Then it is coming around 388 something. So let's round it off to 400 rupees. 400 rupees I need to spend. 400 rupees I need to spend for running my Wagoner, running my Wagoner to 100-kilometer range, right? Now, coming to electric Wagoner, coming to an electric Wagoner, where we are having a battery, of 12 kilowatt hour. I suggest, let's take a break for a few seconds. Right? Just a second. I think some noise is coming, right?
चिन्मय सर को अनम्यूट कर दो, इनको अनम्यूट कर दो। हाँ हाँ,
Yes, thank you for your cooperation. I think there was a sound of azan.
No, it's okay.
So yeah, so I will take an example of our electric Wagoner. So we do retrofitting of Wagoner into an electric Wagoner. So we are using a 12 kilowatt hour battery that gives a range of 100 kilometer after charging it completely. So for this 12 kilowatt hour of battery, 12 kilowatt hour of battery, right? We need to spend 12 units of electricity. 12 units of electricity means 1 unit of electricity is nothing but our 1 kilowatt hour, right? So we are utilizing these 12 units, and 1 unit price, if I take here in Maharashtra, in the place where I am, so it will be around 6 rupees something, 6 rupees per unit. If you go to Delhi and all, I think 200 units तो आपको free हैं, and 3 units or 4 units is the price. So थोड़ा convenient रहेगा आपको अगर electric vehicles if you adopt. Then 12 into 6 rupees here, our prices is giving 72 rupees. 72 rupees. So see here I need to spend 72 rupees for an electric Wagoner to run for 100 kilometer, and I need to spend 400 rupees for running conventional petrol or diesel Wagoner for 100 kilometer. You see the operational economic difference, right? I hope I thought you were getting what we can say confused here. That's why I took a general example of our Wagoner, so you can understand better. So cost to drive is very what we can say minimal and very convenient in our electric vehicles. The second thing, some people are having this thing in their mind that if I'm using electric vehicle, if I'm charging electric vehicle, it might be costing me more. It might be costing me more in the amount of money I need to spend for my electricity, right? The same amount of energy that you can utilize in 4 hours 48 minutes of your water heater, right? The same energy is used for 100 miles of your leaf, right? The same amount of energy that you are utilizing in 5 hours 35 minutes of your clothes dryer, the same amount of energy is used for driving 100 miles of leaf. So similarly for microwave oven, and different comparisons is given here. And in terms of emissions, see, for electric vehicles we are using electricity to charge electric vehicles, and from where the electricity is coming? Electricity is coming from our power plants, and in power plants we are using coal based power plants. That's how we are producing some emissions, we are producing some pollution. So in electric vehicles as of now, because of those coal based power plants, there is some pollution happening. You can see 63.6 lbs. That's how the emissions from power generation, but there is no emission for operation. From vehicle operation there is zero emission. That is why electric vehicles are known as ZEV, zero emission vehicle. Now compare Ultima with it. So there are emissions from fuel production also, like extracting the petrol or diesel, then doing series of chemical reaction and all. And from vehicle operation, huge pollution is coming from vehicle operation. That's how it is giving what we can say more pollution in petrol or diesel vehicle. But here in electric vehicle, pollution is only due to the production of power or energy. There is no emission in electric vehicle. And another interesting thing is, in electric vehicle there will be only about 20 moving components. There will be only about 20 moving components, whereas in conventional petrol or diesel vehicle there will be around 2000 moving components. There will be around 2000 moving components. So since there is reduction in number of components, there is reduction in maintenance, there is reduction in saving, there is reduction in expense, and there is increment in our savings. So this is about this thing. And yeah, I would like to go back and emphasize more on these parts. So this traction battery can be a lead acid battery or a lithium ion battery or metal oxide battery, right? So how to select this motor controller battery is a very what we can say crucial process. because we need to select a proper motor, controller, and battery. If our motor, controller, and battery is perfect, then we can run our vehicle for a particular duration and our requirement. So as I told, this battery will store our energy, right, in a DC medium. So this battery can be lead acid battery or a lithium ion battery or nickel metal hydride battery or zinc air battery, right? Or nowadays, as sodium ion batteries are coming, so there can be the different chemistries for these batteries. Or else, this battery pack can be a super capacitor or ultra capacitor, because the capacitor also serves the purpose of energy storage. Now coming to motor, this motor can be AC motor or a DC motor. AC motor or a DC motor. If it is AC motor, it can be a if it is AC motor, it can be single phase induction motor or a three phase induction motor or synchronous motor, right? So if it is a DC motor, it can be a brush DC motor or a PM DC motor, right? Now, different researchers are doing huge research in using multi-phase induction motor or different phase motors for electric vehicles. So there are different. I hope research scholars from majorly I've seen from the North Indian universities. They are doing research on motors for EVs and all. So yeah, that is about this motor and all. So I hope you are aware that Tesla is using which motor, single phase or three phase. So Tesla is using three phase induction motor. They are using battery of lithium ion chemistry, and they are having an alliance or partnership with Panasonic. So they are using Panasonic cells for their energy storage system. So yeah, and their battery is kept at like this. The battery is at floor. Right? Yeah. So I suggest if someone is having any doubt, they can just ask, or we can take the doubts what are left, and then we can have a small interaction and we can complete.
There is
Right?
one query was there. The budget to convert a normal bicycle into electric bicycle is more than 10,000. The components are available in China only. Do we have full-fledged manufacturer in India for the spare parts?
See, as I told you, we are heavily dependent on China for supply chain of EV industry, right? So you can get motors here. Still for these cells. You have to depend on China. No doubt, research is going on in TEDA, Tamil Nadu Energy Department Association. Something is there, TEDA, and in Rajasthan by Tata, research is going on manufacturing these cells. So these cells, if we get these cells, easily we can assemble these cells in India. There are companies in Noida and Delhi, NCR and all, those who are doing the assembly of these cells. And BMS also we can integrate. See, we are having BMS even in our laptop. In case if your laptop is not working and if you are trying to throw it, then you can just remove the battery. You can see these are lithium ion cells, and there is a BMS along with it. So few people ask the BMS thing also. I will,
Yes, nowadays lot of research is going on BMS. Like people are trying to open up these like their own startups in the BMS in India, because like I have seen many people working in BMS now.
Correct. So BMS design is a very interesting thing. So once they design it, they can easily deploy it into different systems, whether it is a battery for power bank or battery for your bicycle or battery for any other purpose. So yeah, so as we were discussing, so we are very dependent on China for the supply chain, but we can get the motor, the wiring harness, and rest of the things. Controller and battery majorly we are getting it from China. And why why people are getting it from China is, see the budget, the kit for electric bike we can get at a price of 2,800 Indian rupees or 3,000 rupees on bulk from China. That people are selling here at a cost of 6,500 here in India for electric bike. I'm telling, not bicycle. Bicycle wala to 3,000, 4,000 something you can get for converting a bike into electric.
If you can be near to the speaker, I think that your voice will be a little bit clear. Yes. Now.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm telling that China manufacturing in a bulk amount, and they are giving at very affordable rate. That is why people are forced. They are urging people to buy from them, right? So, and we know the mentality people. We think, yeah, jo saste mein mil raha hai, we'll take it from that. But as looking at ongoing issues with China, and looking at our be local wala thing from our prime minister. So we have to encourage our own startups, our own companies, those who are manufacturing BMS batteries and all. So batteries, so still a lot of requirement of R&D and product development for batteries to make the batteries at affordable rate in India.
Okay. So that was one query which was left.
Any other query?
No.
Just I will share another slide where people can understand more about the motor and BMS part. Let me stop the sharing part for a few seconds. Yeah, you are able to see the screen now?
No. It's not visible. Now it is visible.
So the motor can be AC or DC, right? If it is DC motor, then it can be a brush DC motor or a brushless DC motor, or a permanent magnet DC motor, right? So there's a difference between brushless DC motor and brush DC motor of this rotor and stator. I hope many people are aware about it. So yeah, and coming to AC wala thing, the electric vehicle uses induction motor, synchronous motor, or induction motor also. Depending on usage, depending on configuration, and depending on the availability of resources. So, but see, we need to, when we are studying about these motors or these things, we have to be very, very crucial on its application to different problems in our society. See, nowadays, whatever robots people are developing, those robots are nothing but EVs.
I think that there is some issue with the internet. Just we can wait for a couple of minutes. Can wait for a couple of minutes. This is actually one of the disadvantages of technology, too much of technology.
Yeah, done, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Okay, you can start with.
So this is visible, right? Screen is
Yes,
visible.
yes, yes, yes.
So yeah, when selecting these motors, we have to, very crucial about, for what application we are using, what torque, what inclination, those things are there. So yeah, now we have to understand the functionality of these things first. As I am telling, those who are students, they have to first see how these things functions. Like, what are the advantages of this brush DC motor or brushless DC motor or single phase or three phase induction motor for EV purpose, right? I remember, one incident where I asked a question, tell why the single phase induction motor is not self-starting and this three phase induction motor is self-starting. And then like few of them, they gave the right answer and all. Then there was a question of this capacitor for starting this single phase induction motor. Since it is not self-starting, use capacitor, correct? So this capacitor, why we use capacitor, that was the question. And this capacitor allows AC or DC. There were two questions, why we use capacitor and this capacitor allows AC or DC. So for the question of this capacitor, during an interview, finally a student from one university, I will not take the name of the university, but a student from that university, taking an example of capacitor, he told that you know capacitor will allow AC and it will block DC. And the reason was, he's telling, since it is sinusoidal, since the AC supply is sinusoidal. Just a second. There is this pointer. Yeah. Since it is sinusoidal, it can pass like this. And DC is a straight, so it will come here and it will not go. So people, students are there at in today's time where they are not familiar with application-wise concept. Like they have just read the double field revolving theory, but they don't know why single phase induction motor is not self-starting. They have just read the concept or they have just memorized the things. But here we need, when we are telling about startups or companies, those who are working on BMS, those companies, those who are working on BMS, they have to be very, very crucial about knowing all these electronic components, power electronic devices, whether it is a power diode or IGBT or any other thing. So since I am a mechatronics engineer, I feel very interested with whether it is a mechanical component or electronic component or these. So we have to grasp the things if you want to develop something in coming time with regards to electric vehicle, right? So with regards to battery, so for battery, we first what we do, we select anode, cathode, what electrolyte is there, what binder is there, what separator is there. We make a cell, a single cell, right? We make a single cell, and these cells we connect in series or parallel depending on what is our requirement. Either we require more voltage or more Ah. Then these modules of this battery pack, we connect them and frame a battery pack, and this battery pack we integrate with our electric vehicle, and we use it for a particular number of years, 3 years, 5 years. Then we recycle it, or yeah, we recycle it. So this is about for battery pack. So now in India, where we are lacking is we are very much confident and we are having proper equipment for doing the battery pack assembly and integration and those things. We are lacking with these first three steps, where we need proper infrastructure, R&D, and the resources for manufacturing those lithium-ion battery cells. And coming to BMS part, in BMS, so in BMS, there will be the different sensors. There will be different sensors. Like let's suppose this is a battery pack and this is a load. Load can be your motor. And here with BMS, there is a CAN system for communication with motor, charger, and there will be a display for displaying or reflecting the information that is about cell voltage, cell temperature, battery temperature, and all. And there will be a temperature detection sensor and current sensor. So this is a layout for a simple BMS. This is a layout for simple BMS. So we need to understand. Okay, this is how the BMS like manufacturers are doing research on different communication systems and different layouts for the BMS part. Yeah, and we have discussed this thing. So yeah, so like this, there will be battery. We need to connect with this. If it connect with the proper motor, then throttle will be there, brake system, charger. So these things, the what we can say, the connections for motor, brake, throttle, charger, all these things will come under the power electronic motor controller, right? These connections will come, and the battery will be there along with the BMS or the BMS fuse and pre-charge circuit. What other things are required, right? And yeah, the main switch for switching on and off. So yeah, so that is about these things. I hope we have covered the major parts of what
Yes.
yeah we were supposed to discuss today. And I would like to have interaction if anyone of the people who are
this is like we had these questions. I have taken time to time whatever were the questions which have been put up. Let me check on the chat box if there are any. No, there is no query now. We have come to the end of today's session. But yes, there are participants who are requesting for your PPTs, for your slides. And I could read it from your slide that it is confidential and only for the intended user. So I couldn't just answer them, but like I am putting forward the request.
Yeah.
To you,
share it with you so that you can distribute.
Yes, you please share it with me, and I will be sharing it with all the participants.
I will suggest the best way of there are few things that requires immediate attention of universities, institutes, in order to bridge the academic gap. We started doing this retrofitting wala thing now. Few foreign universities, they approached us for R&D vehicles of our retrofitted cars and all. So there, what they were doing, they were working on a part of their curriculum on a thing to develop few EVs. Like let's suppose if one student is there, he wants to develop his own EV. Like when he wants to develop his own EV, then he must select a proper motor, controller, and battery. Take an example of electric bicycle. For electric bicycle, the frame and tires and those things will weigh around 40 to 50 kg, right? 50 kg for this, and one rider take 100 kg, total 150 kg, take 10 kg extra for auxiliary or something like that, then 160 kg. For this 160 kg of mass or weight, what should be the capacity of motor? What should be the capacity of battery and those things and all? So programs like this can be we'll have a separate discussion with you. So programs like this can be there in order to boost the conceptual part during the lockdown and this time where we have got. And later on, those concepts can be utilized in real-time application of developing an EV or retrofitting a bike or car or whatever students want, right? And another thing, so I will urge utilize these this opportunity where you are having sufficient time to what we can say clear and clean your concepts, whatever you are having doubts and all with regards to your engineering discipline. Still people are there, those who don't know what single phase or three phase motor we are using in our ceiling fan.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think as a university and as all the participants are faculty members, I totally agree with you that we should think in the direction that for mechanical or anyway because there is like it is a amalgam of all the trades is there. It is not only that an electrical engineer can take this work in the electric vehicles. There is the role of the mechanical engineer is also there. The role of the electronics and communication engineer is also there. So I think as a university, as a faculty, it is our responsibility at this point of time to introduce such type of courses in our curriculum, so that we can build such kind of skill at the university level, at the college level, and we can support the government by providing the skilled labor. Yes, skilled professionals in this regard. So we will surely work in this direction, and hopefully I will get back to you on this. From on behalf of School of Engineering and Technology, Sharda University, I would once again thank you for your presentation and taking out the time and being a part of this faculty development program and covering a very important aspect of electric mobility, which is going to govern the smart city mission, which is there. The government of India is has. So if I just try to summarize your presentation, I think it was a very comprehensive one, and it touched up both the global as well as the national avenues in electric vehicles. And along with that, what is the supply chain for the EV industry? What is the EV ecosystem? And also you have tried to give us a glance at the various business options which are available, which are which our we as the engineers can take up, and also nicely giving us a tip that electric vehicles are better as compared to the conventional vehicles. It's a myth. Many people say that conventional vehicles are they are better. So with this presentation, yes, definitely now we can understand that moving towards the electric vehicles is going to be a dream for setting up the smart cities. In fact, a smart India can grow in this way. And thank you once again on behalf of the university and on behalf of this. So all the participants, I think that it was a very learning and fruitful session for you. So we will be meeting up tomorrow at 11. So over to you, Chinmay, because from tomorrow you will have to start the session. Chinmay, are you there?
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, I will be starting the session from tomorrow onwards. Thank you, sir, for your nice presentation. It was a wonderful presentation, and I hope that all the participants will take back something from your presentation, which will really help them in their life. Thank you all the participants as well for their patience and their participation. I will be sharing the feedback form within half an hour in the WhatsApp group. And we'll like to join you again tomorrow from 11 a.m. Thank you very much. Thank you all.